welcome back to my channel. This week we are doing a beginner-friendly bachelorette party craft that you can do with some permanent adhesive vinyl and little mimosa or champagne glasses, or maybe a good mocktail, whatever you like to drink. I actually have a friend who's attending a bachelorette party this weekend, and she asked me to customize some of these glasses for her, and I thought it would make a super fun project for us to do together because it's super beginner friendly, super easy, but the result is amazing and you're gonna love it. So first up, let's talk materials. You really don't need that many for this project. You're gonna need some permanent adhesive vinyl. This is Starcraft HD, which is their permanent adhesive. You can do it in any color you want. Today we are gonna be using pink. And then you're also gonna need some transfer tape. This is StyleTech Medium Tack. Both of these can be found at mycraftsource.com, which is in the description of this video, along with a little discount if you decide to shop with them. I truly love them. They're amazing. Customer service is second to none, and they always have great prices. You're also just gonna need a basic tool set, specifically a weeding hook and some scissors. And then you're gonna need your glasses. These ones are plastic because they're for a bachelorette party. So, yeah. And for this project, I'm gonna be using my Cricut Maker, but you can actually do this project with a Cricut Explore series, any kind, or a Cricut Joy, or the new Cricut Venture. We can't forget that one. So, without further ado, let's hop over to the computer and I will show you how to set up your cut file for this one, and then we will get cutting our names. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna go to New Project in Cricut Design Space. And then for this project, we're not gonna be doing any sort of elements on our glass. We're literally just gonna be sticking with text. So you can click the text button and start typing in the name of the person that you are personalizing your glass for. So I'm gonna use my own name, and then we're gonna make a second one that is for my sister. And now we're gonna work on font. So this is where we're gonna do some Cricut Design Space skills here. To change the font, you just click on this drop-down menu next to font, and then you can either search for a category or a style, or you can look at your bookmarked fonts, which Cricut Access, if you are a member of Cricut Access, there are so many fonts in here that you can get and have access to. And so I think that it's really hard to narrow down what you're looking for. So I highly recommend getting familiar with and using this bookmark feature right here, which just allows you to bookmark and keep track of your favorite fonts so that you can find them quicker in the future. So we're gonna do that right now. We're gonna hop over to bookmarks to use the one that we want for today, which is called Wild Thing. And once we have our font selected, we can do the same for both names here. We're gonna go back to bookmarked and go back to Wild Thing. Another similar font is Melon Juice. You can kind of see them compared right here and see which one you like better. I think for this particular project, Wild Thing is a little bit better just because it's thicker and it's a little more condensed, so it allows you to make the font bigger but still fit vertically on your glass. So we're gonna use Wild Thing. And then because I'm only cutting one color, I don't actually have to worry about my color here being accurate. I know that even though it says it's gray, I will be putting in pink vinyl. But if you want to be accurate, you can also select this little color selector up here and select pink, just so you know that that's what you're cutting with. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is measure out our glasses and make sure that we have these the size that we want. So I'm gonna hop away from my screen for just a quick second and measure in real life, and then we will be right back. Okay, so let's go ahead and measure our cups really fast, and then we'll hop back into Cricut Design Space. I'm just using a general measuring tape here. Oh, and also I said you should get these glasses. These plastic ones are just from Amazon. They came in a pack of 24, just FYI. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure vertically because that's how we're gonna be putting the name on the cup, is vertically. And it looks like I have about 4 inches of usable space. So I know that the width of my font needs to be no bigger than 4 inches. So that's what we're gonna use as our guide mark. Let's hop back into Cricut Design Space and make sure everything is sized correctly. Okay, here we are back in Cricut Design Space. I know that 4 inches is what we're working with. I'm gonna use my name to set the standard for the width, because I want every name to be the same font size So I'm gonna use the longest name that I'm working with right now as my guide mark because I know that that's how much space I have. So I'm gonna set the width to 4 on my name by just in the width under size here, selecting 4 and hitting enter. And then I'm gonna look over at my font size and note that that's a font size of 93.81. So then I'm gonna come to Lexi's name and I'm gonna set the font size to 93.81 and hit enter. So now they are both the same size and I'm still working within that dimension of 4 inches in width. So both of these are ready to be cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and click Make It. It's gonna go ahead and tell me that we're gonna be cutting on a mat with 12 by 12 material size. That is correct. We also don't need to mirror our design because we are working with adhesive vinyl, not heat transfer vinyl. So I'm gonna go ahead and click Continue. It's gonna connect to my maker and I'm gonna go ahead and select my materials from the drop-down menu. I'm gonna click over to Popular here and I'm gonna select Premium Vinyl Removable Matte. It doesn't matter whether you select removable or permanent, they're the same thickness of material for the most part, so your cut settings will be the same. And I'm gonna do default pressure. We are ready to load this mat up, so I'm gonna hop away from Cricut Design Space here and back into real life where let's get this cut. Okay, I've got my regular mat here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a little strip of vinyl. Note that I don't need a big strip here because we're only using about 2 inches in height and 4 inches for each name in width. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut a little strip, not worrying about whether it's perfect or straight necessarily, but just making sure that I have enough for what I'm doing. And then I'm gonna set my excess over to the side. Then I'm going to lay my adhesive vinyl color side up on my mat. And I'm just gonna smooth it out with my hands. This is where if you have like a brayer or like a little roller and you wanna make sure there's no bubbles, you can totally do that, but I find that just smoothing it down with my hands does the job quite well. And then we are going to go ahead and slide this in between the guide marks here on the Cricut and press that flashing load and unload button. And then we are going to let it do its thing. Once it's done making sure everything is aligned, you're gonna get a flashing go button, which you can go ahead and press once it starts flashing. It's gonna go ahead and cut both names that we're gonna be cutting out today. It should only just take a few seconds because it's such a simple project. And then once it's done cutting, the unload load button will start flashing again. You can press it and go ahead and remove your mat from your Cricut. Now, something I always tell people is we don't want to pull our vinyl away from our mat. We want to pull our mat away from our vinyl. And this prevents curling of the vinyl when we're pulling it apart. So we're actually going to flip it over and peel the mat rather than the vinyl to prevent that curling from happening. And then we're ready to weed this. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it down a little bit because we do have some excess here that I could use for a later project. And then once I've trimmed it, it's time to weed. So just grab your weeding hook, find the first letter in the first name, and let your hook fall into that crevice and go all the way to the corner of your vinyl. And then once you've pulled it up, you can actually release your hook and using as flat of an angle as possible, just gently peel that vinyl away, leaving behind the name. Once you've done that, you can get rid of your excess or your trash. And then you can use your weeding hook to get the interiors of the letters removed. I like to use the stickiness from my scrap as a way to kind of collect those little pieces there. And then once you've done that, we're actually ready to apply these to our glass. So now it's time for our transfer tape. What I like to do is I just take a small strip of transfer tape. We don't need a lot here. You can actually reuse your transfer tape between both names, so we don't necessarily need enough for both names, we just need enough for one. I'm using my fingernail here to kind of get a lift on our transfer tape, but my fingernails are struggling. You can also use your weeding hook to kind of get in there and get it started for you. I'm just gonna cut a small strip of transfer tape here. I'm gonna set my excess to the side. That was actually way too much, but I prefer to use a straight strip instead of like leaving little rectangles everywhere. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that down even more to just the length of one of the names here. Once you have what you need, you can go ahead and lay your transfer tape down on top of one of those names and use your hand to kind of press it down. If you have like a brayer or like a squeegee or something, you can use that to lay it down flat. But since we're not doing anything complicated today, you shouldn't need that. Your hands should be plenty. And then just like we did with our mat and our vinyl, we're gonna peel the backing away from the transfer tape, not the other way around, which is just gonna allow us to get kind of a clean pull there. And then we're just gonna set down our little glass, trying to keep it as still as possible, and lay that name vertically down on the glass. Then you can just press down with your hand again, and using as flat of an angle as possible, gently peel it away to leave behind your name. Voila! That's one done. All right, now let's do the other one. So same thing as before, you're just going to lay your transfer tape down flat. Notice again that I'm using the same piece of transfer tape I used before. You can reuse transfer tape. And then peeling away with a flat angle there. Laying down my glass. Whoops. And then just lining the name up and gently pressing it down. Pressing down again with my fingers and then creating a flat angle and peeling away. They're both done. So as you can tell, this is a super beginner friendly project, but that creates really cute results. It's perfect for your next party, your next any sort of event that you are helping plan or throw. These are really cute, a really nice personal touch. People love them and they're super quick and easy to create. These ones will be on their way to a bachelorette party this weekend, but I hope you have a lot of fun theming these with whatever font or colors you love to add that little personal touch to your next event. So hope you loved this one. Don't forget to come back next week. I love doing all the crafty tutorials for you here on this channel. We do Cricut projects, we do Glowforge projects, and we have a lot of fun over here. So definitely subscribe and hit the like button so that you won't miss a thing. And I will see you back here next week. But until then, happy crafting.